Have you ever paused in the middle of your morning routine, toothbrush in hand, and wondered what exactly goes into making that familiar tube of Colgate toothpaste? Every day, millions of people in America and around the world reach for it without a second thought, trusting it to freshen breath, fight cavities, and keep smiles bright. But behind that simple squeeze lies a fascinating journey that stretches back thousands of years to ancient civilizations and today unfolds inside some of the most advanced factories in the world. The story of Colgate toothpaste is more than just about clean teeth. It's about innovation, science, history, and precision manufacturing at a scale that's almost impossible to imagine. And today we're going behind the scenes to discover exactly how this daily essential is born, from raw ingredients to the neatly sealed tubes stacked on store shelves. The desire for clean teeth isn't new. In fact, the pursuit of oral hygiene is nearly as old as humanity itself. Ancient Egyptians ground up malachite, pumice, and even ashes to scrub their teeth. Early Chinese remedies included ground fish bones, while Arab cultures in the Middle Ages sometimes used sand or powdered stone. These crude mixtures were harsh and often damaged enamel, but they revealed an important truth: people have always cared about their smiles. By the 19th century, Western societies were experimenting with everything from strong acids to salt as cleaning agents, often with mixed results. A major breakthrough came in the mid-1800s when Dr. Washington Wentworth Sheffield, a dentist from Connecticut, developed one of the first modern toothpaste formulations. His son, inspired by collapsible paint tubes he saw in Paris, introduced the idea of packaging toothpaste in a tube, which revolutionized the industry. Around the same time, Colgate, a company already known for soaps and perfumes, entered the oral care market. In 1873, Colgate released its own toothpaste, originally sold in glass jars, and by 1896, the company introduced its first collapsible tube. That simple invention made toothpaste more hygienic, portable, and convenient, and set the stage for Colgate to become a household name across America. Fast forward to today, and Colgate is a global leader in oral care, producing millions of tubes every day. But making toothpaste at such scale isn't as simple as mixing a few powders and liquids. It's a highly controlled process, involving cutting-edge technology, strict quality standards, and careful attention to consumer health and environmental responsibility. Let's step inside a Colgate factory and see how the process unfolds. It all begins with raw materials. Every ingredient that goes into a tube of Colgate must pass rigorous quality checks before entering production. Large silos and storage tanks hold substances like glycerin, sorbitol, and abrasives, each carefully labeled and tracked through barcodes to ensure nothing is out of place. Unlike the crude powders of the past, modern toothpaste formulas are both safe and effective. The backbone of Colgate toothpaste is fluoride, an ingredient that has transformed dental health worldwide. Endorsed by the American Dental Association, fluoride strengthens enamel and prevents cavities, making it one of the most important innovations in oral care history. Abrasives, such as hydrated silica, make up around 10 to 20% of the formula. These tiny particles polish teeth and scrub away plaque without scratching enamel, giving users that smooth, clean feeling after brushing. Foaming agents like sodium lauryl sulfate create the lather we associate with brushing, ensuring the paste spreads evenly across every tooth surface. To make the experience pleasant, Colgate adds flavorings and sweeteners, often mint-based, which mask the taste of raw chemicals and leave mouths feeling fresh. Humectants like glycerin and sorbitol ensure the paste stays moist and squeezable inside the tube, preventing it from hardening over time. Once ingredients are cleared for use, the real magic begins in the mixing stage. Inside massive stainless steel tanks, workers and automated systems combine liquids first: water, glycerin, sorbitol, followed by powders like abrasives, fluoride, and binding agents. High-speed mixers spin with incredible force, creating a vacuum-like suction that pulls every ingredient evenly into the blend. This step is critical, because even the slightest imbalance could affect the texture, taste, or effectiveness of the final product. To ensure consistency, factory technicians closely monitor temperature and humidity throughout the process. A single batch of toothpaste is enormous, enough to fill around 10,000 standard 4-ounce tubes. Imagine that one batch alone could serve an entire community's brushing needs for weeks. The mixture, now resembling the creamy paste we recognize, is then transferred into holding vessels where it rests before heading to the filling machines. The filling stage is where precision meets speed. Automated machines line up rows of empty, freshly printed tubes, made from lightweight, flexible laminate materials designed to keep the paste sealed and fresh. No human hand ever touches the paste during this step. Instead, the mixture is pumped into each tube through nozzles that deliver exact amounts down to the gram. Too little and the customer feels shortchanged. Too much and the cap won't close properly. Once filled, the bottom of each tube is sealed through heat and pressure, ensuring it's airtight. At lightning speed, machines crimp, stamp and date code each package, ensuring traceability in case of recalls or quality checks. Watching this process in motion is mesmerizing. Thousands of tubes sliding past conveyor belts, perfectly aligned, each one destined for a bathroom cabinet somewhere in the world. Of course, toothpaste isn't just about what's inside the tube, it's also about presentation. Colgate's packaging is designed not only to be functional but also instantly recognizable on store shelves. Cardboard cartons, printed in Colgate's iconic red and white colors, are produced in parallel and folded around the tubes in synchronized motions. These cartons are then packed into larger boxes and stacked onto pallets by robotic arms, ready for shipment. Every step is automated but carefully monitored by human supervisors, ensuring no detail is overlooked. From the moment raw ingredients arrive to the second finished pallets leave the factory floor, Colgate maintains a level of control that reflects its responsibility as a leader in oral health. What's equally fascinating is Colgate's commitment to sustainability in its production. For decades, toothpaste tubes were made of mixed materials that were nearly impossible to recycle. Recognizing the growing need for eco-friendly packaging, Colgate introduced a groundbreaking recyclable tube made from high-density polyethylene, the same plastic used in milk jugs. This innovation not only reduces waste but also sets a new standard across the entire industry. Energy-efficient machinery, water recycling systems, and strict emissions controls further reflect the brand's efforts to reduce its environmental footprint. In a world where consumers are increasingly conscious of sustainability, Colgate's move toward greener manufacturing is more than just a business decision, it's a moral one. Behind the machines and technology, though, lies an important truth. Toothpaste is personal. It's part of our morning rituals, our late-night routines, and even our first introduction to oral hygiene as children. Parents carefully choose kid-friendly flavors and fluoride levels, knowing they're instilling habits that last a lifetime. Teenagers rely on toothpaste to keep their smiles confident, while adults trust it to protect against cavities and gum disease. Even seniors with more complex dental needs depend on specialized formulas. Each tube represents more than just a product. It's a promise of health, confidence, and care. And when you consider that Colgate products are used in more homes worldwide than any other brand, the scale of that promise becomes extraordinary. Have you ever stood in front of the bathroom mirror, squeezed a fresh tube of toothpaste, and wondered how this familiar product actually gets into the tube in the first place? It's one of those everyday mysteries we rarely think about, but behind that satisfying swirl of white or striped paste lies a fascinating world of science, precision engineering, and high-speed factory automation. Toothpaste may look simple, but its journey from raw ingredients to the perfectly sealed tube in your hand involves a meticulous process that ensures safety, quality, and consistency. And when you realize that billions of tubes are made every single year for families across the United States and beyond, the scale of this operation becomes even more mind-blowing. The story of toothpaste begins long before the packaging, with ingredients carefully blended into a smooth, uniform paste. Each batch is created under strict quality control measures to make sure the texture, flavor, and fluoride content are exactly right. Once the mixture is perfected, it doesn't go straight to the tubes. First, the tubes themselves need to be prepared. These familiar containers, whether made of flexible plastic or newer recyclable materials, arrive at the filling machines open at the bottom. Before anything is added, they're thoroughly checked and cleaned, with compressed air blown through them and tiny vacuums used to remove any specks of dust or microscopic particles that might have slipped in during production. This step might seem small, but it's critical to ensuring that every tube is hygienic and ready to carry something you'll put in your mouth twice a day. Once the tubes are clean, the top portion is sealed, leaving the bottom wide open for filling. This sealing is done so that when the paste is pumped inside, it won't accidentally leak out the wrong end. The toothpaste itself is then pumped into high-speed filling machines, where dozens of tubes at a time are rotated into position and filled with just the right amount of paste. As they move along the conveyor belts, the machines dispense the product smoothly and consistently, so each tube gets an equal portion with no air pockets or unevenness. The technology is so precise that even when hundreds of tubes per minute are being filled, the process looks seamless. But what about striped toothpaste, that colorful variety kids love to squeeze onto their brushes just to see the design? Creating those perfect red, blue, or green stripes running evenly through the paste is one of the most impressive feats of factory engineering. To make this happen, manufacturers first prepare separate batches of toothpaste in different colors, each mixed with safe, FDA-approved colorants. These batches are kept separate until the very last moment. The filling machines are designed with multiple nozzles that release the different colors simultaneously. Instead of blending together, the paste flows into the tube in such a way that the colors remain distinct, forming those perfectly even stripes. The secret lies in the shape and positioning of the nozzles, which guide the paste so it sits side by side without mixing. The result is a product that's not only effective for oral care but also visually fun and instantly recognizable. Once the toothpaste, striped or plain, is safely inside, the bottom of the tube needs to be sealed shut. This is typically done through heat crimping, where the edges are pressed together under heat to fuse them, or through adhesive methods that make the closure airtight and leak-proof. This step is essential because toothpaste must stay fresh and uncontaminated from the moment it's packaged until the moment you finish the last squeeze. Imagine the mess if even a single seam failed during shipping. Proper sealing not only protects the product but also ensures a long shelf life, so the paste stays smooth and spreadable instead of drying out or separating. After sealing, the tubes head off to labeling machines. These machines apply perfectly aligned labels that display all the information you expect to see: the brand name, product variant, ingredient list, fluoride content, instructions for use, and the manufacturing date. Because toothpaste is a regulated product, every detail matters, and labels must be accurate and durable enough to withstand moisture and handling. From there, the freshly labeled tubes are packed into boxes. Depending on the brand and market, this might be a single tube box for retail shelves or multi-packs for family-sized purchases. The boxes themselves are sturdy, designed to protect the tubes from bending or bursting during transportation. The journey doesn't end there. Retail boxes are often grouped into larger cartons, each containing dozens or even hundreds of units, before being sealed, labeled, and stacked onto pallets for shipping. These cartons carry information about the contents, batch numbers, and destinations, ensuring smooth logistics as they move from the factory to warehouses, distribution centers, and finally the shelves of your local grocery store, pharmacy, or big box retailer. Before leaving the factory, every batch undergoes one final round of quality checks. Tubes are inspected for leaks, labeling errors, or irregular fillings. Any defective products are discarded or recycled, ensuring that only perfect tubes make it to consumers. When you consider the scale of this operation, it's truly staggering. Colgate, the most dominant toothpaste brand in the United States, produces and distributes over 20 billion tubes worldwide every year. In the US alone, more than 14 million gallons of toothpaste are sold annually. To put that in perspective, that's enough to fill 175,000 bathtubs. Imagine walking into a football stadium and seeing the entire field covered in bathtubs overflowing with toothpaste. That's how much Americans use in just 1 year. This staggering volume shows not only the scale of the toothpaste industry but also the central role it plays in public health, given that brushing is a twice-daily ritual in most households. But while toothpaste is vital to our health, the tubes themselves present an environmental challenge. Traditional tubes have historically been made of a mix of plastic and aluminum layers, which made them nearly impossible to recycle. Each year, billions of used tubes ended up in landfills or waterways, contributing to plastic waste. Recognizing this problem, Colgate and other manufacturers began rethinking the design of the tube. One breakthrough came with the use of high-density polyethylene, HDPE, the same type of plastic used for milk jugs and detergent bottles. HDPE is widely recycled across the US, but for years it was considered too stiff for a squeezable toothpaste tube. Engineers eventually solved this by layering different thicknesses of HDPE sheets, creating a tube that's both flexible for everyday use and strong enough to protect the paste inside. Best of all, it can go straight into regular recycling streams, reducing the industry's environmental footprint. This move toward recyclable packaging is part of a broader commitment by major toothpaste brands to sustainability. Beyond just the tubes, companies are also rethinking caps, cartons, and even the formulas themselves to minimize environmental impact while still delivering the same minty fresh effectiveness people expect. Consumers today are increasingly conscious about the products they buy, and Colgate's initiative to make all of its toothpaste tubes recyclable by 2025 shows how the industry is adapting to meet these expectations. So the next time you grab your toothbrush, squeeze that familiar tube, and see the perfect ribbon of paste curl onto the bristles, remember that you're holding the result of a sophisticated production process that combines chemistry, engineering, logistics, and even environmental science. From the cleaning of empty tubes to the precise creation of colorful stripes, from airtight sealing to nationwide shipping, Every detail is carefully orchestrated to ensure that what you're using is safe, effective, and reliable. Something so ordinary, something we all take for granted, is actually the product of innovation and effort on a global scale. Toothpaste might just be one of the most overlooked marvels of modern manufacturing. Billions of people start and end their days with it, yet few ever stop to consider how it's made. Now that you know, you may never look at your bathroom counter the same way again. Behind that squeeze of freshness is a story of technology, dedication, and progress, one that continues to evolve as brands work toward a cleaner, more sustainable future. And that simple, satisfying swirl on your brush is proof of just how much care goes into even the most ordinary parts of our lives.